Well, since we're talking politics, we might as well bring in our first guest.
Yes. So Governor Phil Murphy was in Washington this weekend for the inauguration of President Joe Biden. There's been a lot of speculation that he will join the Biden administration. But as far as we know right now, he is running for re-election. The Republican challenger, who is seemingly taking the lead, is former Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli. He has already secured the party line in Camden and Gloucester counties and has county chairman endorsements in 12 counties. Jack joins us now live to talk about the campaign. Jack, how are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be with you.
We're so happy to have you here this morning. It's been a long time since we spoke, since the Columbian Foundation dinner 2 years ago, when we honored you as being one of the upstanding Italian-American citizens in the state. So it's really cool to talk to you now as probably the Republican candidate for governor.
Well, listen, this is a very exciting development. I can't remember in my lifetime when we had, for all intents and purposes, an uncontested Republican primary to go up against an incumbent Democratic governor. So I'm very happy for the Republican Party, and I'm very particularly excited for the voters of New Jersey. We've got a 10-month one-on-one here with Phil Murphy.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you've been on the campaign trail for a long, long time. So I know that you really have a pulse on what the issues are. In meeting the citizens of the state, what do you think is the number one issue?
Well, certainly the administration's handling the pandemic. Phil Murphy's policies as it relates to what's gone on in our nursing homes, what's gone on Main Street with mom and pop shops. So those are two of the key issues, his handling of the pandemic. And we're seeing it right now, too, with the administration's handling of the rollout of the vaccination.
Jack, are those some of the reasons why you decided to run?
They're really not. I mean, I tried to get Kim Guadagno elected 4 years ago. When Phil Murphy beat her, I went back out on the campaign trail in all of 2018-19 as an unofficial candidate. I declared in January of 2020. So I've been on the campaign trail now close to 3 years. And pre-pandemic, the issues were all about the crises that ravage the middle class in this state and prevent people from getting ahead, prevent people from achieving their American dream. And those crises are our property tax crisis, our business climate crisis, both of which are the worst in the nation, and also our public pension crisis, which is the second worst in the nation. Those three issues paralyze the state economically, they constrain us fiscally, and deny people the opportunity to achieve the American dream here. But now that the pandemic's come along, we've got a lot more to talk about in terms of the way the governor, again, has handled nursing homes, Main Street, and schools. I really do believe our kids need to be back in school.
Yeah. And why do you think that you can do a better job than Phil Murphy on all of those issues?
A couple of reasons. One, I'm an MBA CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investment banker. I'm born and raised here. I'm a two-time successful business owner. And also, I've had the privilege of serving at every level of government here in New Jersey. I've always term limited myself, but I did serve 2 terms at municipal level, 2 terms at the county level, and 3 two-year terms in the state legislature. And that means I understand New Jersey. I understand it from a business owner's perspective. I understand it as a lifelong resident, and I understand as someone who served at every level of government. Phil Murphy can't say any of that.
That is very interesting. And Jack, you said, or as part of your campaign, you've been doing a small business tour. What have you learned by stopping at and shopping at some of the small businesses around the Garden State?
They were in Hackensack, Bergen County, supporting mom and pop shops. Family.
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, there I am. I think that was the day that I was in Bergen at a famous bakery, and I got my crullers and crumb buns, and they were delicious. But listen, I just want to show them that I care. I know what they're going through. 3 out of 10 New Jersey businesses have already shut their doors forever. Mom and pop shops that have been in families for generations are on the brink of closing their doors. And I'm all about saving lives. But what you never hear from this governor is that we should also be about saving livelihoods. I believe we can do both. This is a very contagious and deadly virus, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying to save livelihoods in addition to saving lives. I believe we can.
So with a lot of Republican voters, the way that the last election went down was a little bit suspect. Even to this day, there's a lot of questions around the results. If your election is mail-in, like we saw in November, how does that impact the race?
Well, I don't see it impacting the race in the sense that we just have to make sure there aren't any voting irregularities, or we just need to continue to point out all the things that made the VBM election, a vote by mail election, wrong. It was unnecessarily messy. It was unnecessarily expensive. And there's a great deal of probability of human error. We saw ballots down in Atlantic County were mailed out that were missing candidates' names. We've heard countless stories of people that received 2 ballots, or people who received a ballot at a home that they hadn't lived at in 15 years. Our own daughter here in our house received a ballot. She hasn't lived here in 4 years. We see the story in Mercer County of a man who delivered the ballot of a man who had died 5 days earlier. And the really sad part of that story is the guy that delivered the ballot, his wife works on the Board of Elections. So the challenge with an all VBM election is there's a lot of potential for irregularity and fraud. We have to point all those things out and make sure it doesn't happen again. But listen, I'm advocating for us voting in person. It's a lot less messy. It's a lot less expensive. We virtually eliminate the chances of fraud. And listen, if we can stand in line for 5 hours at motor vehicles, we can certainly vote in person.
Agreed.
Jack, thank you so much for joining us today. We so appreciate it. Once again, Jack Ciattarelli running for governor of New Jersey this year. Thank you again for your time.
Guys, great to be with you. Looking forward to next time.